Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's now coming up to 9:30 on Monday, the 10th of November 2025. We'll now formally commence Breckland Council's Cabinet meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, it is with profound sadness that I inform you of the passing of Lady Karen Jean Fisher. Lady Fisher was a stalwart of public service and civic duty in Breckland and across Norfolk and the Eastern region, and a loss we felt deeply by all of those who had the privilege of knowing and worked alongside her. Lady Fisher dedicated her life to public service and her community. A tireless advocate for education, she served with distinction as chairman of the local school governors, working to ensure that young people across our district and our county were afforded every opportunity to thrive. Her commitment to betterment of our community extended far beyond those of elected offices, and as a former district councillor and cabinet member of Breckland Council from 2003 to 2012, that wisdom and compassion was the epitome of Kay in everything she did, always guided by our unwavering belief in public duty and the importance of supporting others. Her service was recognised at the highest level through her appointment as a Deputy Lord Lieutenant for Norfolk, a role she fulfilled with dignity, grace and a generous spirit. Lady Fisher gave her time to the quieter services across our communities in less visible ways. Often without seeking recognition, she volunteered for numerous charities and good causes, demonstrated that humility, kindness that earned her the respect and affection of so many across our county. Her leadership and philanthropic commitments continued well into the work involving her directors of the YMCA for Norfolk and her involvement with the East Anglian Children's Hospice, along with many other organisations. In every capacity, Lady Kay exemplified devotion to these needs, and a legacy will endure through countless lives she's touched. On behalf of Breckland District Council and all of our communities, I extend our deepest condolences to Lady Karen Fisher's family and her loved ones. We share in their grief, and we offer our heartfelt gratitude for her remarkable contribution to life, to the district, the county and the region. I now ask everyone to stand for a 1 minute silence. Thank you very much. Councillor Robert Kybird, I think you would wish to give some personal reflection.
Thank you, Chairman. The death of Lady Kay Fisher is both poignant and unexpected. Baroness Karen Carnegie is the title she was born with. Born at Eilean Donan, that much-pictured castle close to Kyle of Lochalsh. Lady Kay, as we have known her, was at school with the Lady Danet, our current Lord Lieutenant. In 1977, she married the Honourable Patrick Fisher, and around 1992, they chose to make their family home at Kilverston Hall. A well-planned and executed refresh of the hall, which has parts dating to the 1600s. As the builders entrusted with this 20th century makeover, we saw the transformation of the one-time residence of Admiral Jackie Fisher into a modern family home. And my particular memory was Kay's insistence on red carpets for all the corridors. There was, however, nothing common about Lady Kay, and for those who had the privilege of knowing her in a private capacity, one single aspect shone through: the treatment of all, from carpenters to prime ministers, as equal human beings. It is therefore that I mourn the passing of Lady Kay on behalf of all those whose lives she touched. Lady Kay performed her public duties first as a local politician and more recently as a DL, without fame nor favour, a truly noble individual. I particularly express my heartfelt condolences to Patrick Fisher and the children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Robert. So we'll move on to today's formal agenda. We'll start with item 1 then, please, Teresa. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from Maxine O'Mahony, Chief Executive. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. We'll move to item 2, which is minutes of the previous meeting. We have 2 sets of minutes to go through. So we'll go for the first one, which is Monday, the 22nd of September 2025, found within pages 4 to 16 of colleagues' agenda pack. Are we happy they're a true and accurate record? Councillor Hewitt.
Minor amendment, please, Chair, on 7725. Whilst I don't wish in any way to demean morals, I think I was referring to laurels rather than morals in that context. Thank you.
Okay, I'm happy to take that. That minor amendment, still all agreed? Super, thank you. And then we've got the special meeting on the 20th of October 2025, contained within pages 17 to 21 of colleagues' agenda pack. Everyone happy with the true and accurate record? Agreed. Lovely, thank you very much. We move to item 3, any urgent business. I'm not made aware of any. Item 4, declarations of interest. If any member has any declarations of interest pertinent to today's items, please make me aware. Item 5, non-members wishing to address the meeting. Councillor Kybird, you are most welcome as always. Item 6, Chairman's announcements. I do not have any. Item 7, Breckland Council Community Funding Application, standing item. Councillor Ashby to start, please.
Thank you very much, Leader, and good morning, everybody. We have not had any new Inspiring Communities grants agreed yet because we're ending the next round. Panel will be meeting next Monday on the 17th. Just a reminder that match funding grants are up to £5,000 and that the objectives are to address vulnerability and work with the most disadvantaged members of our community to improve their life chances with a focus on domestic abuse, mental health, social isolation and loneliness, and early intervention projects which prevent escalation into crisis. In terms of the Household Support Fund, total referrals rose from 63 in September to 69 in October, with the total funding issued over the 2 months was £24,000. And referring to our Spark Fund, Beach and Well Parish Council is updating and reprinting the local footpath map created by community members. It will be free from Village Hall and on their Parish Council website. And the map encourages walking, supporting local residents and farmers, shares local information, and continues a long-running community project. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. Any questions for Councillor Ashby? No, thank you very much. Councillor Clausen, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to provide an update on the ongoing support Breckland Council has been able to offer our local businesses and communities through funding from our allocations of the Rural England Prosperity Fund and the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. We're delighted to have provided £10,000 in support to Thetford Town Council for a project identified through the Future Breckland programme aimed at improving Thetford Marketplace. We look forward to seeing continued enhancements that will ensure the marketplace remains a vibrant and thriving centre for the community. Once again, we're proud to be sponsoring the hugely successful Local Flavours event in March next year. And this is a fantastic celebration of our local food and drink producers and a showcase of Breckland's entrepreneurial spirit. Over the summer, we launched the Shopfront scheme, designed to enhance the appearance of our town centres, preserve local heritage, and encourage businesses' growth by improving the look and feel of our high streets. Through a competitive application process, 3 businesses have received a combined total of £9,215 in grant funding to improve their premises, namely the Haircut, the Cock-In and Tall Orders. In further support of our local community, a new Durham-based business, Tate Sibley branded clothing, has received £8,000 through our Reopen scheme, helping them to establish themselves and bring a previously vacant high street property back into use. Finally, recognising the invaluable contribution of our community organisations, we have made awards to Open Road Norfolk Trust Thetford, Training Centre equipment for £5,000, Empanda Care and Support Centre Limited, CIC in Attleborough, a building expansion, another £5,000, Croxton Parish Council play equipment to the value of £5,000, Harling Parish Council garden provisions to the value of £1,000, Keystone Trust Thetford, a community hub for £500. These initiatives demonstrate Breckland Council's continued commitment to supporting our local economy, empowering communities, ensuring that Breckland remains a great place to live, work and do business. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Councillor Clausen. Any questions or points in relation to Councillor Clausen's report? Councillor Cowan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. And I feel it's important, having just heard what Councillor Clausen has demonstrated this council is able to achieve, either directly through our own funds or indirectly through the funds that we've been able to lever into the district as a result of policies and activities that we've promoted. It really demonstrates the importance of district councils being local to the people whom they represent and being able to recognise and deliver projects which support those businesses and individuals. And let's not forget, it's not just the businesses, it's the people who they employ, it's the supply chain that supports those businesses. So every pound spent on a business is actually spread beyond that actual business and the individuals concerned. I think it's to our credit that we're able to still continue to do this whilst others around the county and elsewhere in the country struggle to do so. So I commend everything we've just heard. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Councillor Borrett, please.
Thank you. I would just like to support what the two previous cabinet members have said. The point about us being fleet of foot and listening to our residents and then being able to deliver. We all know that the high streets in our market towns are under intense pressure. Local businesses are really struggling under the pressures of business rates, increased national insurance, and our residents tell us that their high streets are very important. And this investment in our high streets is something that will make a palpable difference and help keep our high streets alive. This isn't money for things that aren't important. This is a direct response to the requests and the interests of our residents. And I'm really glad that Breckland is able to do this and still have the cheapest council tax in England.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Councillor Crane, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm delighted to announce the results of the Environmental Initiative Grant Scheme. Breckland Council has allocated £11,500 of funding across several local groups as part of its new Environmental Initiative Grant Scheme. The grant, awarded in partnership with Serco, aligns with the Council's Working Smarter 2035 corporate theme, which focuses on sustainability, climate and environmental protection. Grants of between £500 and £1,000 were awarded to projects that improve local green spaces, protect wildlife or promote positive behavioural changes in response to climate change. Eligible organisations included local community groups, charities and schools looking to make a real difference. The funds will either help facilitate the introduction of new initiatives or support existing projects. The following organisations were awarded. Grow Kids Clothes Bank in Thetford was awarded £1,000 to go towards the promotion of textile reuse and community support. Dereham Windmill awarded £500 to help fund the planting of heritage fruit trees to support biodiversity and education. Ash Hill Welfare Charity Trust awarded £1,000 to go towards the restoration of the community pond to support biodiversity. Carbrook Village Millennium Green awarded £500 to help fund the enhancement of pollinator habitats with native spring bulbs. Friends of Lechmere awarded £1,000 to contribute towards the revitalisation of the mere to improve water quality and wildlife habitats. Northgate High School Orchard Committee awarded £500 to help fund support for a tree nursery and wildflower areas. Friends of Carbrook School awarded £1,000 to go towards the creation of a sensory and environmental learning garden. Involve Razem awarded £1,000 to help fund Polish Saturday school activities promoting composting, recycling and biodiversity. Second Dereham Scout Group awarded £1,000 to help fund the restoration of an enclosed green space to create a sensory and environmental learning garden. Swanton Morley Village Hall Trust awarded £1,000 to go towards the creation of a community orchard wildlife area. Matishall Community Allotments awarded £1,000 to help improve accessibility and biodiversity through raised beds and pollinator planting. Litcham Common Conservation Group awarded £1,000 to help restore the rare heathland plant Petty Whin on the Common. Social Water Access Network, known as SWAN, awarded £1,000 to fund improvements to river access and safety while promoting environmental stewardship. And I thank you for bearing with me reading out that long list, but I actually think it's important for people to realise that and know that these small amounts make a huge amount of difference to our local community groups. So thank you very much, Chair.
Lovely, thank you very much indeed. Any comments in relation to that? Councillor Hewitt and then Councillor Khyber, please.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think it's lost, certainly on me, that just over the last 10 minutes we've talked about funding for community groups, we've talked about funding for businesses, and we've talked about funding for the wider environment. Not only allowing our residents and our businesses to thrive, but also allowing the sustainable development of our communities and of our wider environment moving forwards. I think these are really significant and important initiatives. As Councillor Crane says, it's not necessarily the amounts involved that are important, it's the fact that we are doing and working in areas that are of significant relevance and importance to our communities. I think it reflects a caring council, I think it reflects a local focus council, and I also think it reflects that this district council is proud and honoured to support every aspect of our communities moving forward.
Lovely, thank you, Paul. Councillor Khyber and then Councillor Borrett, please.
Thank you, Leader. Just like to welcome the funding that's been directed towards Thetford, and in particular reinvigoration of the marketplace. Only this Saturday the lower marketplace was in use for the first time in 15 years, I would guess, and with 5 additional stalls there. And I'm surprised that your funding had an immediate effect, but there is a change in attitude that markets are good for towns.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Borrett, then Councillor Webb.
Thanks very much, Chairman. I just wanted to piggyback on the comments made by Councillor Hewitt about these are all groups on the whole run by volunteers and people within their communities, and I just think this is fantastic. This is Breckland's residents running and being in control and helping themselves. And I've always been struck by the can-do attitude of Breckland's residents, who are able to pitch in together for the betterment of their communities. That we've had such a long list of schemes that we're supporting is great for 2 reasons. One is that the Breckland had enough money to be able to support all of these, but the most interesting and shining example is that there were so many groups that bid and said, we are doing this in our communities and this funding would help. I think this is a really fabulous scheme. I'm really pleased to support it, and I wish all of these vibrant community groups all the very best, and I hope that we continue to hear from them and the success of their projects that they've used from the Breckland funding. I think this is a really good scheme, and I'd like to congratulate the leader and cabinet on bringing it forward. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thanks, Bill. Alison, please.
Thank you. Yesterday at Armistice Day, there was many people in Dereham. Some of the people after the service come and talk to me about what difference these grants make to them and to their environment. As you said, Helen, the small amounts, it doesn't matter whether it's £100, 500,000 or 5,000, 10,000. This all makes a considerable difference to our environment in Breckland. And this is what we should all be grateful for, the fact that this council is good and sees the will in people and the good in people and is able to fund these improvements for our residents. I want to say thank you to everybody who's presented all the grants today, and also, as I said, hopefully we'll be able to continue with this in the future. Thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you very much. If there are no further comments or questions in relation to that, we'll move on to the next substantive item on today's agenda, which is the Q2 25-26 Finance Performance and Projects Report. I've got Councillor Webb, Councillor Hewitt and Councillor Cowan to speak on this. I don't know who's going first. Councillor Webb, over to you, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, so this report looks at performance for Q2. I'm pleased to present to the committee today the Q2 Finance Performance and Project Report. Just as a reminder, this report covers the period between July to September 2025. A summary for each area will be given. I'm going to start on the performance for Q2 in the area for performance. Funny little thing. Oh dear, right, okay. This in Q2, the majority of our key performance indicators are at or near target. There are a couple of areas in the report, though, I'd like to draw your attention to. Firstly, following on from a question that arose from the Q1 report when I took it to overview and scrutiny on the target for community service user satisfaction. Members will see that currently there is no target on this measure. This is being picked up as part of a wider look at both the communities and housing key performance indicators as a result of the service transformation project that we're doing. The other area I want to touch on relates to customer contact. I spoke last quarter about the challenging period the contact centre is going through. Several factors, including long-term staff sickness, staffing vacancies as well, meant that we likely to see some knock-on impacts in terms of our customer satisfaction. As a result, we have now dipped slightly below target on this measure. Whilst work has been ongoing to ensure a long-term return above target, in the short term, I want to highlight that last month's satisfaction surveys were back above target. Obviously, we want to ensure that satisfaction is as high as possible where our residents interact with the contact centre. So the focus of the team now is to make sure that we stay above our targets. The final areas I want to cover off relates to the other indicators within the report that are flagged as either red or amber. We currently believe that both indicators relating to Anglia revenues and partnership will recover next quarter to bring back at target, with Q2 always being a busy period for the service. The Scope 1 annual carbon footprint indicator has also been flagged, but importantly, we remain below target when all the three scopes are looked at. And finally, I want to cover standards, complaints, responses. This was a case for the council receiving a low number of standards complaints, meaning that percentages can sometimes make the indicator look worse than it is. What this indicator shows that out of the 18 cases which were received between April and October, 2 responded too late. I will now hand over to Councillor Hewitt to provide an overview of projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webb. My part of the report, Chair, will cover the position of the Council's dozen or so high priority projects at the end of Q2 that our colleagues, officers and members are currently undertaking under the focus of our excellent project team. Once again, we've seen some important and complex projects come to a successful completion over the quarter. This includes the second phase of property purchases using the Local Authority Housing Fund. This project has seen the council purchase 11 good quality properties to support households in need of temporary accommodation. Not only has this played a significant part in reducing that particular need, but it's also reduced the amount of money spent on nightly paid accommodation as identified in the financial section of the report that follows. As a council, we're also continuing to look internally at improving the standards and efficiency of all of our key services. You may have seen over the last few months that we focused efforts on better aligning our housing and communities teams
to ensure the life-changing interventions that both of these teams implement and that can be identified and addressed as early as possible through partnership working and a proactive approach. As part of this work, we've also now completed a project which saw a review of those services areas and new staffing structures introduced. Work will now focus on the back office processes and systems to make further improvements to the customer journey. We've also launched a new programme of service improvements across our environmental protection teams to help address local and national challenges with regards to recruitment and retention of talent, knowledge and skills. These, Chair, and colleagues, are just a handful of the high priority projects this Council is committed to delivering. An overview of these will be found in the appendices to the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Turning to finance colleagues, obviously the Q2 forecast outturn is demonstrated in the papers that we have before us. And it follows on from Q1, where we showed a surplus of some £267,000, which was an unusual feature for Q1 financial reporting. And now in Q2, you will see that we are actually showing a surplus of £872,000. And it's arisen as a consequence of a number of factors which are identified. And some of those are a direct result of this Council's policies and activities, whilst others are out with our control. Now, as ever, the significant variances that underpin the forecast are shown in Table 2 of Appendix C and include significant contributions from development control, housing benefit claims, corporate finance and our own Evolve programme, with further contributions from garden waste, commercial property, ICT and others. These are, as ever, offset by costs, however, that are incurred, but those are identified in line items 1 through to 9. Now, as noted above, Team Breckland has embraced the Evolve programme, such that an additional £108,000 has been achieved, compared with that budgeted, an overachievement of 12%. The Capital Works programme does indicate a surplus, but the majority of the underspend is carried forward, as shown in the accompanying table, leaving potential surplus of £300,000 as a result of the cancellation of the Potters Fen nutrient neutrality project, which was found to be non-viable. Our treasury position is shown on page 37, and that illustrates how we're able to maintain a strong corporate financial position through our ability to loan some £20 million, or over half of our available capital, to other local authorities as interest rates within the UK hold up. And of course, those other local authorities do not have the ability to do what we can do as a very successful, financially managed district council. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely, thank you much indeed. Any questions or comments in relation to those three reports on performance, projects and finance? Councillor Khyber, please.
Thank you. There's a substantial improvement on the planning and building control position, with, I believe, extra fees coming from the likes of solar farm applications. But has that produced a corresponding increase in workload for the planning department?
Lovely, thank you. I'll refer that to the Cabinet Member responsible for planning and housing. Councillor Suggett, please.
Thank you. Yes, it has, because obviously the more applications that come in, obviously the busier the team are. The challenge is the amount of the more information that has to come in with all of those applications. So albeit the individual applications does put a burden on, it's the additional information which is part of all applications now. It's not necessarily just those more technical, specific, like you've referred to, solar farm applications, but all applications now are much more onerous, so they are taking their toll. We have got a few vacancies within planning at the moment, but we are out to recruit, and we have successfully just recently recruited to some of those posts. But the team are working really well under some of those under some of those restraints. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Any further questions? If not, colleagues are duly asked to note that report before it goes to over and scrutiny on the 18th of December 2025. Colleagues are nodding, so that is duly noted. Thank you very much. So move to item 9 then, which is the Anglia Revenues and Benefits Partnership. Councillor Cowan, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Nothing really to report in this, except to say that you will have noticed in the performance report that there is a red flag in there at the beginning of that, which identifies that housing benefit claims are taking a little bit longer than we anticipated. I think it's worth just reflecting back to this time last year when we were showing a time of just under 14 days, and our target is quite ambitious at 8. The team are getting close to getting back to that sort of very ambitious target. One thing Anglia Revenues doesn't do is set silly, easy targets to achieve so everyone can coast along. We do set challenging targets, let's put it that way. And unfortunately, a lot of the work that ARP get involved in, of course, is not directly as a result of work that they do. It's imposed on them by maybe central government policies and initiatives that are passed at higher level. But I can advise you that the Joint Committee is fully aware of the situation that's happening at ARP and is entirely supportive of it. Thank you, Chairman.
Lovely, thank you. Any comments in relation to the ARP minutes? Councillor Hewitt, please.
A super quick one. Phil, I think you might be being a bit disingenuous in terms of the red flag. It's still nearly 30% down on the equivalent for last year. I'm a big fan of stretch targets, and I think you rightly say that is a definite stretch target. But having listened to the ARP team speak quite recently, I have absolute confidence on two things. One, they'll manage this service in probably one of the most effective ways of any organisation in the country, and two, they will endeavour to make sure that they do meet their stretch targets moving forwards.
Lovely, thank you. Councillor Borrett, please.
Yes, thanks very much. I mean, I think their performance should be looked in the terms of wider benchmarking, and the ARP, or Anglia Revenues Department, quite rightly is being very ambitious, as the previous cabinet members have said. And I think if you compare that with the performance of other organisations, you'll see, even though we're not meeting the stretch targets, compared to other organisations that deliver in this space, their performance is exemplary.
Lovely, thank you very much. Okay, so members are asked to duly note the minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of September 2025, so they are duly noted. Date of the next meeting is currently, I say currently, scheduled for the 12th of January 2026. However, I am aware that the Cabinet Member for Local Government Reorganisation and Devolution may be requesting to bring a special meeting forward on the 8th of December 2025 to bring forward our prospectus on devolution and what it means for Breckland, but also where Breckland will deliver on behalf of Breckland, Norfolk and the East of England, but also an update on our process in relation to local government reorganisation and our response to the government's consultation if it has commenced. So I will now formally close the meeting.